It was awesome. It was awesome. Okay, yeah. I'm actually going to try to keep this short because when it comes to a good movie, there's not much to say because I don't want to give too much away. So without going into spoilers first off, I am a Godzilla fan and I'm also a monster movie, kind of fan. So I love this stuff. I try to go see it whenever when it comes out in the theater. And, we've been waiting a long time for a new Godzilla film. And in my opinion, the wait was worth it. It was really good. Yeah. It is a slow film. It is. It's a very slow burn. It is long. So, if you're considering the fact that the last Godzilla movie to come out was Final Wars, this is polar opposite of that. But that's okay, though. It's reinventing Godzilla. It's a reboot, but it's done well. I'll just go ahead and get the issues I had with it out of the way, because there's not that many. I am not going to be one of those Godzilla fans that just nitpicks the crap out of it, because that's stupid. And that's just being a cynical fan. Bottom line, this is a good movie. But some issues I have with it. First of all, it is long and it shows. It doesn't fly, the time does not fly by very quickly. It is a slow burn.
It's a long time before you see any of the monsters.
Yeah, well, especially Godzilla.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Okay, I guess we're gonna go into a little bit of spoiler, but you probably already figured this out if you've seen the trailers and done research. But a little bit of spoiler: Godzilla is not the only monster in this movie. There are multiple monsters. It takes a really long time to see these monsters fight. They're actually fighting throughout the whole film, but we don't.
It's a long time before you even see a monster in general.
Yes. But even then, though, I'm okay with that.
I'm not.
That's not my issue.
It was a really good setup.
Yes, there's a really good setup to when the monsters, especially Godzilla, are revealed. When they come out, it's a grand entrance, especially Godzilla. It looks great. Here's my only issue with that. After they're finally revealed. Godzilla's face is shown. He does the iconic scream. It's great. You're kind of blown away. It doesn't really do much with it for a while, though. We still spend a good amount of the movie not focusing on the monsters, but focusing on the humans. I had a problem with that. It's okay, you've spent more than the first act of your film focusing on the humans. That's great. That's fine. And on the mystery of these monsters, specifically Godzilla. But now the monsters they're out now. They're shown, they're doing stuff, they're destroying stuff. Focus on them. Stop showing us the humans. The monsters are out now. Show us the monsters. I'm not saying that they have to be the total center of it, but you really don't get much of Godzilla until the final act. Now, granted, you get a lot of them in the final act, but even in the second act, you really don't get much of him, and that was a little disappointing. Again, it's okay to have a slow build-up to your movie, but then when that build-up hits its point where the reveal is made, it's time to start paying off that build-up. And it does pay off in the end, but it still takes way longer than it should have. It could have used more monsters. And more specifically than that, it could have used more monsters fighting. The movie is teasing us throughout the film. There are little moments where Godzilla and one of the monsters are fighting, but we only see it for 3 seconds, right?
Well, not to get into too many spoilers here, but the first technical battle was in Hawaii. With Godzilla and the flying monster. And it's it's the first time you see Godzilla and the flying monster, and it's they're gonna fight, but then it cuts away.
It cuts away.
And then the only time is you see a little bit of snippet of the fight on a news channel.
Thing, yeah.
The next day, and it's what?
Yeah. And I would have been okay with that if we saw a good amount of the fight, but we just see 10 seconds of the fight. And I'm okay, so first the movie teases us on Godzilla. Okay, fine. But then it teases us on Godzilla fighting monsters. That's a little too much teasing. You know? It's like, dude, just give us what we want. But again, it doesn't ruin the film. It doesn't take it too far. But it does push your patience. You need to have a lot of patience to sit through this movie. It is long, it's kind of slow at times, but if you just keep your cool, just keep with it, it does pay off, because the third act is really good. The third act is non-stop action. And you see Godzilla fight multiple monsters, and it's awesome. Also, I'll just go and say this right now, Godzilla looks great.
He does.
He looks fantastic. It's not a guy in a suit, but he looks fantastic. The CGI is great. Mm-hmm. Godzilla looks scary. He does not look like a joke. Like, his eyes aren't too big. He
looks like a monster.
He looks like a monster. The spikes on the back look great. The scream looks great. His teeth look like he just looks great.
Well, the other monsters do too.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of, honestly, I thought the other monsters were just fine. They weren't, there was nothing about them that stood out a whole lot from me. There was nothing about them that was like, whoa, that's kind of different. But they were fine. They got the job done. I like the fact that this movie introduced us to new monsters, and then, although I would love to see some of Toho's other monsters in perhaps future sequels, if we get more sequels, which I'm sure we will, and I hope we will. But I'm glad that
it's gonna make a lot.
Oh yes. And I'm glad it does. I'm glad it will. I am glad that they actually introduced us to some new monsters, and the new monsters actually have a pretty good plot-wise. Actually, have a pretty good connection to Godzilla with the radiation and all that, the nuclear stuff, and I thought that was done well. So yeah, I have two problems worth noting in this film, and other than that, I like the movie a lot. Number one, it's a little slow in the middle. Number two, now this is a spoiler, so get ready. Bryan Cranston dies in the first 30 minutes. The trailer made it look like he was the lead. If you saw the trailer, or any of the trailers, doesn't he look like he's the center character, or at least that he's going to be in there throughout most of the movie?
The trailers seem to do that these days, though.
I mean, they've always done that with a lot of movies. That's not a new thing. That's been going on since the 60s.
When he died, I was like really surprised. I was like, "Oh, he's dead already?"
I was starting to wonder if he would die. As the movie was going on, I was like, they're kind of pushing him back. Like, is he gonna die already? Yeah.
Well, and also it's funny because when you saw the shot of them zipping up the body bag on him, you could tell from the audience they were all like, "What?"
Yeah. Here's the problem with that. This is not me just praising Bryan Cranston. Everyone right now is loving Bryan Cranston, and for good reason. He's a great actor. Bryan Cranston not only gives the best performance in this movie, he has the best character in the movie. Out of all the humans, he is the most interesting, the most complex, and the most, I should say fun, but he's the one that you want to watch the most. He's the most likable. Instead, we focus the entire movie on his son, who is boring and generic. He's a soldier with a boring and generic family. And I don't think I can't remember the actor's name, but the actor that plays him, he doesn't do a terrible job. I thought some of his lines could have been said a little better at times. But I didn't... It's just if the fact that they had Bryan Cranston in there for the first 30 minutes, and then he's just done, it's like, dude, give us Bryan Cranston. I don't want to watch the movie. I don't want to follow this guy. Give me Bryan Cranston. So that was kind of an annoyance because, again, first of all, the trailers teased us into thinking that Bryan was the lead, and also because our actual main character is kind of lame. Again, he doesn't ruin the film. He's serviceable, but he could have been better. So that's really my only issues with the film, though. It's a little slow at times, and the lead isn't the best.
I also love how and I know this is just a thing from monster movies, but I also love every time they're all looking for the monster or whatever, and someone the person sees it and they kind of have this slow
the slow turn.
And they're they did that 10 times.
They did that a lot. lot.
And it's like.
So that's really the only. Did you have any other issues with the film? I really don't. I'm not a fanboy that's gonna nitpick this movie.
Besides the thing that you said about not showing enough of the monsters, like the thing like when the female comes out, like the second monster. Okay, according to like what we were seeing, apparently she like destroyed half of not Las Vegas.
Yeah, we don't.
But we only saw like
we don't. Yeah,
3 seconds of.
Not only do we not see throughout the movie too much of the monsters fighting until the end, we don't see much of the cities getting destroyed either.
She apparently, like according to where she started and to where she got to, she went like halfway across the United States.
Yes.
And
like demolishes Las Vegas in like 5 seconds.
And we like don't even see. And then also like, how did they lose her? Because like you remember when they go out of the train and they like don't know where she is. How did they?
Yeah,
you think they would have like things following her?
But
whatever. I mean, it's just
it's what it is. But yeah, really, that's my only. Those are the only issues I had. And again,
the best final kill.
Yes, we'll save that. We'll save that for a moment. So really, the rest of this review is just going to be us praising it because I don't have any other issues with it. You don't seem to have any other issues with it. Before we go into more spoiler,
it was exactly what I expected.
It's exactly what you want
monster
it to be.
movie.
If
you love Pacific Rim, you will love this movie.
Well, more specifically, if you are a Godzilla fan and you've been waiting for a decade for another Godzilla film, and more specifically than that, if you are waiting for a good, proper American adaptation of a Godzilla film.
Matthew Broderick's film was amazing. I don't know what you're talking.
Be quiet. Most. I mean, I actually do know some people that like the Roland Emmerich Godzilla. I don't.
More like Brian does.
Well, Ben does too. But I mean, if you are a Godzilla fan like me and you've been waiting for America to do a real proper adaptation of Godzilla, this is the movie to see. We get it. We get that, and it's great to see Godzilla again, and he looks fantastic. It's a solid monster flick. I highly recommend it. Go see it in the theater. It looks great. I would give it a B+. Really, really fun monster film.
Yeah.
B+. Mm-hmm. If it was a little faster paced, and
I mean, it's certainly not Emmy winning.
Grammy.
Oh, sorry, Grammy.
Well, no, it is Emmy. I'm sorry, Oscar.
Oscar.
Emmy is television. Grammy is music. Oscars are movies.
Okay, it's not Oscar winning.
Yeah,
but
no, it's not. It's not.
Fun.
But it's a lot of fun. It's a blast. It's a really. It came out at a perfect time. It's a great summer movie to get together with friends and go watch a great summer action film. Great fun. So now we'll go into a little bit more detail on it. The action throughout most of the film, it's fine. It has some good. The visuals look great. Like, I mean, not just Godzilla. Like, there is some great camera work in this movie.
If you want to see a lot of people dying in horrible ways,
yeah, it is. Yeah. And there's a lot of long shots. There's a lot of good shots of like the human perspective looking up and seeing these monsters around them. That looks great. Godzilla's reveal is fantastic. So the monster fighting.
Would you would you consider his reveal when those soldiers shoot the flares, or when he first sees the other monster at the airport?
I say when you referring to Godzilla, I would say when you first see his face.
When it shows his whole face.
When it shows his whole face and he screams.
Okay,
that's
not the flare part.
Oh, that's really good too.
Yeah.
Yes. But I mean just that whole scene.
Yeah.
That's really just that whole scene.
Well, I mean like that part, like I know if you've seen the trailer.
It's in the trailer. Yeah.
But all the sound goes off and you just hear.
Yeah, just all these flares go up in the air. Then you see
him walking by.
That whole scene is fantastic. So the actual monster fight, the third act is really when the movie focuses on Godzilla. And it's Godzilla fighting these two monsters. So, and while that's happening, you got the human stuff too. I really wasn't following the human stuff because at that point I'm like, you know what? I've been following the boring human stuff for like
what do you
2
mean
hours.
following it?
the whole thing with like the babies and him blowing it up. Like I was following, but I wasn't paying too much attention to that. I was like,
the babies,
or like the offspring, whatever.
Oh,
that they were blowing up or whatever. What it was.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, I was seeing it, but but only when they actually cut to the monsters fighting was I were like, okay, now I'm watching. Like I've been following this soldier for the whole film. I'm ready to watch Godzilla.
I mentioned it to you, but when they first go in that room and you see all the babies, I was like, if they come out of their shell and start killing them, I'm gonna like, oh my god.
Yeah, no, they didn't do that. Thank goodness. But so the third act is when Godzilla fights these. We actually see Godzilla fight these two monsters against Godzilla. It's really good. It's a really good fight scene. Again, I mean, yeah, it's not going to look the same as other Godzilla films because it's not guys in rubber suits. But it looks really good though, and they're crashing into buildings, and they're stuff is getting
damaged.
A lot of stuff is getting blown up. So yeah, it's a really good monster fight, and it takes the whole movie. And this was good build up. They don't show Godzilla using his fire breath until the very end of the film.
Radiation breath.
Whatever you want to call it. It's really good build up because when he uses it twice in the film. The first time he uses it's a really good reveal, and it's done very well. And then the second time he uses it is the final kill. Here's another spoiler alert because I want to talk about it. Spoiler on how he does the final kill.
How he killed the first one was pretty good too.
It was really good too. So he tail slaps the guy up against a building. So one of the monsters is down. It's down to another monster. The main human is lying on a boat. He's alone. The bad monster is like surrounding him. So it's like, uh-oh.
Well, it's because he's next to the nuke.
Yeah, I know. So like
he pulls out his pistol. And
yeah,
that
was
gonna
stupid.
Work.
That was like a Saving Private Ryan moment with like the tank. Yeah, I was like, oh, is this Tom Hanks now? But so it looks like our main hero is about to die. Of course, Godzilla saves him. So Godzilla grabs this monster by the jaw, peels it, holds him back. Opens the jaw,
but the way that it's like fighting, and it looks like it's gonna Godzilla's gonna
Godzilla
rip his
Godzilla looks like he is
that was
gonna.
The she, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was gonna
rip her jaw.
Godzilla looks like he is about to rip this monster's head off her jaw.
You just expect it to be physical.
Yeah, you think it's gonna be like this, and so it's like ooh, this is gonna be brutal. But all of a sudden, with the mouth open, he shoots right down her throat. And just...
Oh, it was so cool.
That shot is one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life.
The whole theater was just like, ooh.
The whole theater. Dude, I lost it. I was about ready to just stand and applaud right then and there. I was like, that alone is my money's worth. Go see this movie. It's that.
Okay, now that we're talking about that, though, can we talk about that theater? Oh my god.
We'll talk about it. They don't need to hear this.
Okay.
But so yeah. So any final thoughts on Godzilla?
Go see it.
Go see it.
It was awesome.
That's all we got. All
It's
right.
your money's worth.
Could have used more fish, but besides that. See ya.
Godzilla!
Godzilla!